from Republican State Party Chair Jennifer Horn. I am joined now by our counterpart in the Democratic Party, Chairman Ray Buckley. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
So there's a lot of Republicans out there saying, yeah, we were the victor on election night here in New Hampshire. Reality is, Chris Sununu won the governor's office, but you can't be too disappointed with how things turned out for your party.
First time in New Hampshire history, Democrats have all 4 congressional seats. So when Jeanne Shaheen casts a vote, it won't be blocked by Kelly Ayotte's vote. It'll be Maggie Hassan and Jeanne Shaheen voting together. And in the House, it'll be the same with Carol Shea Porter and Annie Kuster. This is a massive change in how New Hampshire's been represented in Washington.
Yeah, the Republicans do have the majority, though, in Concord and in the governor's office. How concerned are you about the Republican agenda that could include things like right to work and things that are obviously near and dear to the Democratic Party?
Certainly, we understand that the state government, the entire state government's up every 2 years. And the Republicans, every time they've had an opportunity in the last 20 years, they've blown it by overreaching, whether it was Craig Benson or Bill O'Brien. And we are very confident. Just on Friday, Chris Sununu was saying that one of his top priorities is to eliminate same-day voter registration because he contends there's some sort of fraud going on there without any proof. That's the sort of thing. Disenfranchising voters is your first priority, not fixing the roads and bridges or the schools or trying to find something to do with property taxes, creating jobs in the economy. No, disenfranchising voters. That's his priority. That's not what the people of New Hampshire voted for.
Well, even Bill Gardner says that he thinks that the law should be strengthened so we don't have any embarrassing issues in the First Nation primary. Moving forward, though, how shocked were you with the results of election night? Because obviously a lot of people were expecting Hillary Clinton to wind up coming out on top.
I think even the Trump supporters and the Sununu supporters were shocked, and the Ayotte's. I think it was an election that will go down in the books that everyone was surprised with the results, whether you won or lost, because it was close, but there were some assumptions of who was going to win on election night. I think that makes elections more competitive, and that's a good thing.
What do you think happened? I mean, a lot of people are blaming James Comey for suggesting that there's more to the emails than we knew about. I mean, what's your take?
I think there are a number of factors. The Democratic Party on the grassroots level in the other states can be made stronger. They can get more support from the Democratic National Committee, which is essential. I think that if more state parties were as strong fundamentally as the New Hampshire Democratic Party, we would have been able to withstand the sort of swing that occurred late in some of those other key states. The Comey letter obviously was a huge factor in that, but there are a number of factors. It's about messaging, it's about giving hope, it's about saying something positive, and I think that there's a whole lot of things that can be learned from this election, and I trust that we will.
Yeah, we might learn in the next election that we will learn that the National Party, Democratic Party, will have a new leader. Your name has been mentioned. How likely is it that you are the next national leader of the Democratic Party?
Well, at this point, it's more likely than not. I think that I bring a perspective that the other folks looking at running simply haven't had. Serving as a state party chair now for 10 years, where we've won 11 out of the last 13 statewide races. I know how to win in a competitive state, and I think that that's part of what I would bring to the office. And so I'm continuing to have that conversation. We've got a meeting coming up in a couple weeks of the state chairs and the executive committee of the DNC, and we'll have conversations to make a decision. The election is not until the end of February, so we've got a long time.
You say more likely than not. Is that 51 versus 49 or 75-25, 90-10? What do you think? You want to go that far?
How about 60?
Okay, 60-40, fair. All right, so some say that the Democratic Party needs to rebuild itself to a certain degree. How accurate is that assessment?
Oh, absolutely, and it's something I've been fighting for years. And the thought that I would have that ability to bring forward some of the ideas that I've been pushing, and it's been very hard for the people in Washington to understand that elections are won on the ground in the communities and not within the Beltway. That opportunity may present itself, and if so, that I would love to be able to reorganize and refashion how we operate as a party.
What about the bench? Everybody talks about the bench. I mean, Hillary Clinton kind of was the name for, seems like for, at least 8 years, Barack Obama's term. Are there some up-and-comers out there that you think need to be identified?
You got Governor Mario Cuomo. You have Senator Cory Booker, Senator Elizabeth Edwards, Senator Amy Klobuchar, perhaps Governor Martin O'Malley. There are a good dozen or so people that I could imagine will be coming to New Hampshire in the coming months.
And the next Democratic Party chair nationally will be it's certainly going to be an interesting job because Donald Trump is the president and his appointments are going to be called into question. How different would it be than it was for the tenure of, say, Debbie Wasserman Schultz?
Well, I think that one thing that I have is experience of running a party and staying completely neutral and having a level playing field for all the candidates. And that's one thing I would promise, that sort of attitude and behavior that we displayed both in 08 in that very tough primary and in 16 in the very tough primary as well, that every candidate and every supporter of every candidate would be able to depend that the Democratic National Committee was not putting their thumb on the scales for any of the candidates.
And we only have about 30 seconds, but when you talk about fairness, how do you change it? The rules are the rules. Think they need to be adjusted?
I think that the rules can be adjusted. I think that there's some significant change in superdelegates and other issues like that.
And Bernie Sanders would be happy to hear that. Chairman Buckley, best of luck to you. Congratulations on a good election night as well.
Thank you.